Howdy-ho, Andrew here. Welcome to the Onion Buns and welcome to another episode of Let's Talk Oilers. So, season is done. Playoffs are done for the Oilers. And as predicted, the blame game has started. Every day, they're blaming somebody. Now, some of the blame out there is very valid, and I'll get to that. But some of it is just like the local media and their mindless followers. They just need to shut the bleep up already. They really do. You know, ever since the Oilers got knocked out of the playoffs, I have heard the local media trying to run Darnell Nurse out of town. And their mindless followers just repeat it mindlessly. It drives me nuts. Stupid people drive me nuts. They really do. So let's throw some truths out there right off the bat. The best two defensemen on the Edmonton Oilers in the Stanley Cup playoffs for the 2026 season were Connor Murphy and Darnell Nurse. And then there was a huge gap to the next one, which would have been Emberson and Ekholm. And then there was a huge gap to the bottom two. Our two worst defensemen were Evan Bouchard and Jake Walman. I mean, if you watched any of the games, you know this. I really do wonder if the media and their mindless followers actually watch these hockey games ever. Or do they just write these columns up before the games are even played? Because Darnell Nurse, we did not lose because of Darnell Nurse. Darnell Nurse and Connor Murphy were our best pairing, bar none. Conversely, we lost 2 games because of Evan Bouchard, and we lost 1 game because of Jake Walman. So that's 3 losses out of 4 off of 2 defensemen. You know, and yeah, okay, Walman and Bouchard had some points, but they were all, well, Walman was actually a plus player, I think, but Bouchard was the worst minus player of the defense because him and Walman, they were freaking terrible defensively. Like, it was just a disaster zone watching these two try to play defense, you know, and Ekholm did the best he could, but he can't keep bailing Bouchard out. And we saw that his age is caught up to Mateus, and he wasn't able to bail Bouchard out. So Knobloch started shifting around the defensive pairings, trying to find somebody to bail Bouchard out, and nobody could. You know, Nurse actually did the best job out of everybody, which is surprising because we've seen Darnell and Bouchard together before, and it's been ugly. It's an ugly pairing. Yet, for some reason, Darnell was able to moderately cover some of Bouchard's mistakes in this playoffs, but it wasn't enough, you know, and then Knobloch put out Bouchard and Walman together, and it's like, what the hell are you thinking there, buddy? You know, and yeah, like, I don't understand it. I really don't. I do not understand this fascination, this fixation in Edmonton market that they have to drive Darnell Nurse out of the market. Like, I heard the stupidest, like, we are talking brain dead, knuckle dragging, running your lips across the concrete, stupid trade. And one of our local media was going, oh, I think this might be a good idea. I mean, I'm not going to say names, but let's just say the water level wasn't very high and leave it at that. And yeah, there was this idiotic trade suggestion put out. It was Darnell Nurse, Tristan Jarry, Ike Howard, Josh Szymanski, and a couple of draft picks for the Leafs goalie Stolars and what's the horrible defenseman? Their number 1 defenseman that wouldn't even be the number 4 defenseman on the Oilers. I forget his name now, but you know who I'm talking about. The guy that McDavid completely undressed a couple of years ago and made all the highlight reels. So anyway, that was the trade request. It's an absolutely moronic trade request. It's a massive overpayment by the Oilers. And our media go, oh, I think it might be interesting. There might be something here. No, there's nothing there. I don't get it. We have one of the league's premier 2-way defensemen in Darnell Nurse. He's not an elite defensive defenseman, and he's not an elite offensive defenseman. but he's up there as an elite two-way defenseman, and they are rare. And he's had some struggles the past couple of years because, well, one is Knobloch. Like, the Knobloch absolutely misuses Nurse and has since he came in. But also, we got rid of Cece, so Darnell got the rift raft and the hand-me-downs, and it wasn't working. This year, we got Connor Murphy, and once Darnell and Murphy synced, they've been excellent. Like, why would you want to get rid of? We finally have an excellent second pairing, and the no minds out there want to get rid of them. It's baffling. And this Toronto trade, it's like they want to get rid of Darnell, an elite two-way defenseman, for yet another offensive defenseman that can't play defense. We already have Wallman. We already have Bouchard. We have the shrimp that was the number 7 guy. The really small guy that I can't even remember his name because he shouldn't be. We should have never traded for him to begin with from Nashville. But Bowman liked him, and he another offensive guy. You don't win loading up your defense with offensive defensemen that can't play defense. Typically, you carry one offensive defenseman. That's it, one. And then you get a elite two-way defenseman if you can, and you get some defensive defensemen who have size, physicality, grit, like Ekholm, like Murphy. This is what you want on your team. What you don't want is a team of offensive defensemen. But that's what that trade wants. Wants to bring in yet another offensive defenseman because, it wasn't like goals against were killing us this year. No, let's bring in another offensive defenseman so we can really triple down on trying to outscore our defensive mistakes. Hey, what is wrong with people? Seriously, please come in the comment section and tell me, what is wrong with these people? What is wrong with the media in this town? What is wrong with the no minds that follow them? Can we use a little bit of frickin' common sense finally? Ugh. So since we're playing the blame game, I don't blame Darnell, obviously. And I think you're a frickin' moron if you do. I'll be quite honest. I think you are a cousin-kissing moron if you blame Darnell Nurse before you blame some other of our defense people, namely Bouchard and Wallman in this series. But honestly, I think the two people that need to be fired are Stan Bowman and Chris Knobloch. Before we get to any of the players, and there is players that need to be shipped out. There is players that should have never been on this team this year to begin with. But they were because Chris Knobloch and Stan Bowman deemed them untouchable and gave them a spot. No matter, it doesn't matter if they were invisible for 80% of the season. They were guaranteed a spot, And this is what killed us this year is, as far as Knobloch's concerned, it's favoritism. And we saw this last year with Jeff Skinner. Arvidsson came out after he left the Oilers. He said, I have no clue why. Well, he didn't say Knobloch by name, but we knew who he was talking about. So I'm just going to paraphrase and say, I have no clue why Knobloch kept putting me out there. I had no chemistry with that team. I had no chemistry on the lines. I couldn't do anything, but he kept putting me out there. And the reason he did that is because he did not like Jeff Skinner. So he refused to play Jeff Skinner. He put his own personal dislikes ahead of the team. And he did it again this year. And this year it cost us big time. So Knobloch's a no-brainer. He's got to go. He's got to go. It's very clear after this year that Knobloch is not the reason we went to the Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final 2 years ago and Game 6 of the Stanley Cup Final last year. He's not the reason. Ken Holland is the reason because Ken Holland forced players on Knobloch that Knobloch did not want. This season, Knobloch and Bowman crafted this team, and this team stunk. It stunk. We were missing physicality. We were missing grit. We were missing emotion and passion. We had a team of undersized players that wanted to play shinny hockey, non-contact shinny hockey. And that's all they wanted to do. And that's all Knobloch wanted. And that's all Bowman wanted. So Bowman and Knobloch got to go. Simple as that. After you get rid of them, then we start looking at the team. And I will talk next week on players because I don't want to run 30 minutes in this video. So I'll talk next week on players. I'm just going to talk briefly on Knobloch and Bowman right now. Bowman got rid of Corey Perry and Evander Kane. What we were missing in the Stanley Cup final, or in the first round against the Ducks, was Corey Perry and Evander Kane. Like, that is what we were missing from our lineup. And that's what he got rid of. And he got rid of them intentionally. And he brought in Matt Savoy. Matt Savoy was invisible 80% of this season, and he was invisible for the entire playoff, all 6 games. He did absolutely nothing. And I'm hearing a lot of I shouldn't say a lot, but I'm hearing some people throw shade at Rosevich. What was Rosevich supposed to do, saddled with Savoy? McDavid couldn't get anything going with Savoy. RNH couldn't get anything going with Savoy. Leon couldn't get anything going with Savoy. Why are we throwing shade at Rosevich? And this is what drives me nuts, is these no minds out there, they pick these players out. Look at the whole picture, people. Look at the whole picture. Matt Savoy shouldn't have been on the team. He should have been in the AHL again this season. He's not ready for the NHL. Yeah, he got the hat trick against I think they were the 30th place team or the 31st place team. Okay, great. He got the hat trick. It happens. Most of the season, he was invisible. Against any good teams, he was invisible. He had a few good games against bad teams, but as soon as the level of play rose, he was gone. So he was not ready, but Bowman and Knoblauch, through favoritism, gifted him a spot all season long. That hurt the team. Noah Phillips ran out of town. Why? For scoring a goal and being a good third-line player. I have no clue why Noah Phillips is not still an Oiler, but that's on Knoblauch and that's on Bowman. Clattenburg came up, played great, got sent back to the minors where he got injured. Why was he sent back? He was exactly what we needed, some physicality on this team. It's like you can go through it, and every choice Bowman and Knoblauch made this season was the wrong choice. Just point blank. So they can't be back. If they're back, I'm going to say something that's going to be really unpopular in Oiler country. If we have Stan Bowman and Chris Knoblauch, or even just Stan Bowman or just Chris Knoblauch, we're in a rebuild, folks. Our window is closed. It's done. Those two cannot take us to the Stanley Cup final. We need a coach that is able to adjust. You get an injury, Leon's out, Connor's out. Okay, we're going to adjust. We're not going to try to play offense. We're going to tighten it up, and the guys are going to know how to do this because we've coached them to do this. Exactly what Knoblauch failed time and time again this season. And we need a GM that's going to build a team, not an undersized shinny squad. I don't know how else to say it, people. So those two are who I blame for this season. Like, I do blame some players, and like I said, next week I will start going over some players. But the bulk of the blame lies with Stan Bowman and Chris Knoblauch. And they both need to be gone. It's that simple. They both need to be gone. The Oilers have a very small sliver of a window now. Next year is either we go to the Stanley Cup final or we're in a rebuild. It's one of the two. And it'll all depend on what the GM does and what the coach coaches the team to be. We can't play Knoblauch style of hockey because that doesn't work in the NHL. And we saw that clear as day this year. Anyway, that's my video for this week. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, a subscribe, and a share. I'm trying to grow my channel, and a like, a subscribe, and a share does me wonders, and I do appreciate it. Takes 1 second to subscribe, costs you absolutely nothing, helps me immensely. Just hit the subscribe button on the bottom of the screen. If you're watching this on Rumble or Instagram, please follow my channel. Always feel free to leave a comment. I encourage everybody to leave a comment. Like, seriously, come in and tell me what you think this team needs to do to improve, to move back as a contender rather than move into pretender status. Come into the comments and tell me what you think it needs. Who needs to go? And if you're going to come in and say Nurse, then at least give me a reason. Because this is one of the things that drives me nuts, is none of these media types or the no minds that are screaming for Nurse ever give a realistic reason. Like, I heard Jason Gregor talking about own goals. Okay, let's talk about the final own goal. The Anaheim player shot. It hit Darnell's shin pad. Darnell came out to block the shot. So he's at the midpoint of the key. So there's a lot of ice between him and the net. Okay. The shot hits Darnell's shin pad it bounces, it hits Darnell's stick, it bounces, and it's going at a super slow speed now, and it flutters over Ingram. And the only reason it fluttered over Ingram is because before the shot was ever taken, Ingram was already on his knees. So he couldn't raise his glove, which is all he needed to do to stop that shot, and it just fluttered over and in. How is that Darnell's fault? Like, seriously, how is that Darnell's fault? That's on Ingram. That is a save Ingram needs to make 11 times out of 10. And he didn't. So why are we blaming Darnell for it? Why is Jason Gregor saying Darnell's own goals? Like, come on. So, yeah, come into the comments and tell me. But if you're going to say people's names, give reasons. Like, I'm not looking for a witch hunt, so give reasons. And, yeah. Also, leaving a comment really does help me with the YouTube algorithm and getting more eyes on my videos. And as always, pew, 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 and shit. Thanks for watching. Have a great day. Bye.